Welcome to the second session. Now we're going to do a short teaching on the 10 Dharma activities. Because real empowerment is if you engage meaningfully, attentively, intentionally, with good retention of these two. For instance, if we know the lineage of this came from the Buddha himself, and then to Angaja. The Arhat Angaja is one of the 16 Arhats, yeah? And then of course, Angaja lived in, say, 4th century BC, but then the glorious, the Kadampa monk, Choedak, and from him, because he had the pure vision to receive this empowerment from Angaja, because Buddha himself have taught that the 16 Arhats are his ambassadors to remain until the whole 5,000-year eon of the Buddha Shakyamuni disappear. These 16 Arhats are still there. Whenever you do the prayers, you do the invocation prayer, they are the real Dharma protectors. When Mahayana Buddhism went to China, they have the 16 Arhats, and then together with the benefactor and so on, they call 18 Lohan, Sipa Lohan, means 18 Arhats. Among them, Angaja is one of them. Angaja is actually the first of the 16 Lohans. So this came to the vision of the great Kadampa monk, Tutsitil, and then that come down through Nartangpa and so on, all the way up to the present living master. The fact that we have Buddhism so strong in Tibetan people's civic consciousness over the last 1,300 years is because of Kadampa, and because prior to Kadampa there was Nyingmapa, and prior to Nyingmapa there was Theravada in India, and of the Theravada, Angaja features very important. All the 16 Mahastaviras are historical people, historical disciples of the Buddha. But Buddha asked them not to pass away into nirvana and remain as Dharma protectors. The original Dharma protectors, Dharma palas, are 16 Arhats. I remember His Eminence Chogi teaching Rinpoche that if you do the 16 Arhat puja, it is the most original Dharma protector puja. You do not have different Mahakalas for different lineages to confuse. You just honor the 16 Arhats. So very famous Chinese king had great faith, and he meditated and prayed. The 16 Arhats actually came. All of them came in his pure vision. And that's why Mahayana Buddhism spread so far in China and Japan and Korea through the 16 Arhats. So the Angaja is the prominent of the 16 Arhats. So he doesn't exclude the other 15. Yeah? So we should honor the original Buddhism, which is Arhats. Sure, Bodhisattvas are great, but even Arhats are even greater because they enjoyed actual historically they rubbed shoulders, if I may use this term, with Buddha. They actually were historical people. If you read the Theravada scriptures, you will see all these 18, 16 Lohans, undisputedly. But when you talk about other Indian scholars, Theravadins don't want to know about it. They even argue the historicity of Nagarjuna, can you believe? But when it comes to Angaja, Ajita, and Rahula, and you name it, they're undisputed across the Buddhist, pan-Buddhist world. In Tibetan also, every temple, every monastery, the 16 Arhat feature is very important. Whenever we do pujas on the full moon, we do the 16 Arhat pujas. That's the most universal. And I remember his eminent Choedak teaching was telling that when you do the 16 Arhat puja, it consecrates the temple. So every full moon, every new moon, every anniversary of great teachers, even when a visiting of great lamas come, we have some ceremony, we always do the 16 Arhat puja. So each of you are entitled to enjoy pure perception, pure vision of Angaja and the like the Kadampa monk Tromoche Dutsi Hill experience. So, having received this empowerment, here is the way to practice these 10 Dharma activities, both as transmission and most importantly as realization. What I meant by receiving, retention, and realization. Even if you receive, even you can retain, but if you don't have realization, what is it? So you have to realize it. And it says the first is writing text, these days typing, these days like this, sending Dharma text, okay? Not ordinary text to each other. Sending Dharma text, quotation of the Buddha, of this sutra, this udana, this avadana, jataka malas, send it like that to each other, then rubbish. Then all the copying and pasting is very good, If you go to Bodh Gaya, all the circumambulatory path, they're engraved with all the quotation from Dasa Bhumika Sutra, Avatamsaka Sutra, all the Mahayana sutras and sutras, quotations. Wait until you see one verse, it'll change your life. That's the merit of writing, engraving the Dharma on the rocks, so that people, eons later, like Samrat Ashoka wrote his messages on the rocks so that people don't forget. Even now you can read the Brahmin Lipi in Ashoka Pillar in Lumbini. That was 200 BC. That's like 200 years ago. So why? Because if you write something good, it will engrave in people's minds. So wait until you write something, copy something, paste something, share something that's worthy of sharing to other people. So of course here it says that you should do the preliminary practice, clean the place, sprinkling the water, sweep the place, create a mandala, draw two boundaries, and put drop 9 piles of rice. And it talks about a little bit of ritual, creating a shrine, and then you offer like the text and the pen and whatever you're going to use the writing with. These days, I suppose iPad and phone or computer will do. You should put a nice offering table for your computer to write the text. So it's very precious. These days, in the old days, they have to carry scriptures and put on their head. Nowadays we have iPad, which all the scriptures, all the kangyus and tengyus in there. So don't just treat them as just a tablet. Treat them as all the words of the Buddha. That's copied there, paste there. Someone send you there. And nowadays we are doing more copying and pasting more quickly than before. Yeah, but you make it more spiritual practice. Try to share the Dharma. When people restrict sharing Dharma, I don't know, I don't understand it. I say, why they don't want to share the text? Why so secret about sharing things? It's ridiculous. It's all about promoting the Dharma. How can you ask people not to look when they got the sight? Ahuni or Pahuni, they say, ask people, invite them so that they can behold the good. But they have to be able to read some books that is worthy to read. Not like all those books that got only a couple of hours worthy reading, after that no value, they throw away, paperback fictions. Dharma books is not like that. So copying, writing, very, very important. So you see, says that when opening the text, when you're opening the computer or a tablet or a text or book, when you look, because when you're looking, you're already copying. You're visually copying that into your visual memory, to the audio memory, to the cognitive memory, to the verbal memory, and you might even quote it. So you're copying, not just copying physically. You're copying from visually to the audially, to the intellectually, to your mentally, emotionally, and habitually. Your mind stream get completely changed. Wait until you copy Dharma in your mind. A lot of you are changed because you've been copying Dharma. You've been listening, you're copying audially, and then remembering. Yeah. So don't think the copying is always require pen and ink. Most of the teachers says, "Thus I've heard." What they heard, they heard the word. They copy the word. They forgot not. They didn't forget the word. Aham evam maya sutram ikasam samaya Buddha. Buddha was there, and so on. So you don't forget that, and you're copying. So every time you read, chant. So in some ways, all the Dharma activities are intertwined. Don't think writing is writing, but copying is also meditating. Imagine when you're reading, not just always try to understand intellectually. Imagine the syllables you see emerge as light and absorbs into your crown, purify your affliction and karma. It says here, purify negative karma. Visualize this not just once, not just twice, 3 times, repeatedly, until you are really transformed. So don't read just academically, intellectually, okay? Read spiritually, copy it emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, mentally, habitually, until it changes your whole mentality, until it makes your brain elastic. They wonder whether the brain has elasticity or not. Of course, if you don't put anything that can move, it would be no elastic. When you start putting momentarily very important thing, it will make more elastic. Sorry. Imagine each written letters appear as nirmanakayas. Letters are nirmanakaya. Buddha said, in the last 500 years, I will appear as letters. I will appear as syllables. I will appear as quotes, and so on. Indeed, they are. If not blessed by Buddha, letters should not be suitable for writing. So all the letters that we are reading are worthy of reading because they are Buddha in form of letters. That's why Buddhists don't put text on the floor or walk over them or leave them everywhere lying around. We wrap them nicely. We put them committed very nice brocades. Put them before you open. You put on your head, and after you read, also you put in the head, and also put other people comes also. You don't hesitate to put this head, put these holy books on people's head, because the Nirmanakaya manifestation, Buddha in form of letters, are blessing people. Yeah. So the books are copying the blessing to the people, and you touch it. Then after you've done a little bit of copying, writing like that, you dedicate the merit. Don't make the reading or writing as just some kind of time passing. Oh, I'll read for a while, lying on the couch. Not like that. Make it formal practice. Take refuge in general bodhicitta first, read or whatever for a little while, and then dedicate the merit. So make it formal copying, formal writing. Yeah, writing. Sometimes write those verses that you don't just read. Just write them on your own handwriting, or type them nicely. You can choose any beautiful fonts, have them printed, nice color, paste them on the wall. Very good. Very good for you. I used to do that when I was a retreat. We just paste all these nice verses and paste them on the walls everywhere, so that we don't distract anything but see these verses jumping on your eyes. Yeah, because mind is so restless. So you need to find a way to copy your mind with the Dharma. Yeah. Second is offering to the triple gem. So offering to the triple gem. Here, of course, generally speaking, giving your devotion, your money, your food, your fruit, or other things, whatever you do. So whatever you're doing in to offer your devotion to the triple gem, that should be also done with preliminary prayer and concluding as before. And then imagine the light rays shine from the syllables entering into you. So it's that syllables and the teachings of the Buddha is always purify your mind and karmic obscuration. And then make offerings. The offerings that you bring with flowers, even as a small thing you're offering, you do so in order to purify your karma. So giving an offering is here, of course, mentioned just the triple gem. Say even giving your offering time to people, energy, ideas, good opinions to other people. You should not see that as an ordinary thing, but you should see that you are a conduit of the good offering, that blessing, the best blessings that we can give. Gift of gift excels all gifts, they call it. So you can never think, oh, he gave me, I can't give this to other people type of gift. Some people say, what did you do that I gave to you? They don't want you to give that to anybody. They want you to hold you so they can have something back from you. This is not that kind of impure giving. It's not giving. That's almost like a imprisoning. So this is giving to the triple gem. You should offer as purify all stealings that you did in the past. Robbings that you did in the past lives, whether you remember or not. You just imagine there were. And then you're giving to the Buddha, even a flower would purify many things. So second is offering. Third is giving Dharma text, books. Lots of Buddhists give Dharma books to people, or texts, or prayers, or whatever it is. So for the recipient and the Dharma, arrange seat and offerings. So even those you are giving to, you should make them a nice seat and make them feel welcome, don't just give them because they are there to be gotten rid of, but rather to honor them as someone to give to. Both recipient and giver should generate bodhicitta, have particular faith, have clear minds. And these 6 qualities, 3 each for them are necessary, for the both recipient and giver are necessary. Otherwise, neither party will be suitable. So the man of giving is to place the text in the hands and say, please engage in 10 Dharma activities with this and benefit sentient being. Don't just give a text to other people. Ask them to engage in the above mentioned 10 Dharma activities. And so you can do what we call formalize the practice of giving Dharma texts. Fourth is listening. So when you're listening to the Dharma, not just in person, but when you're listening to a teaching by His Holiness Dalai Lama or some other teachers, whether you know them or not, don't think that he's my teacher, he's not my teacher, not that. Just listen to them. You wouldn't believe how much sometimes you need to hear that you least expect it from will come to you. So don't judge the person you're listening to. Look at the words. They say, don't rely on the person, rely on the Dharma. So when you listen to the Dharma, then you can hear teaching from anyone. Even someone is criticizing you. You think this is not Dharma, but who knows which is Dharma, which is not Dharma. Sometimes criticism is Dharma, if you're listening very well. It's the listener that makes the Dharma, not necessarily one who's speaking is Dharma. So therefore, when you're listening to the Dharma, who says listening to the Dharma, of course we want the Dharma to be according to Dharma being taught. But we have heard in the Dharma, when you listen to Dharma, to practice patience. But so when someone criticizes you, don't say, this is not Dharma. No, because the one who criticizes is the object of your patience. So you can't practice the Dharma that you heard when you listen to Dharma when somebody is criticizing you. That's actual time to practice real Dharma. Because we heard that we should practice patience. But where can you practice patience when someone giving teaching to you? It's not a practice of patience, it's just enjoying the teachings. Practicing patience is suffering, you know, suffering the criticism, suffering the kind of harsh words they're using. But turn that into listening Dharma. Then a many different, much deeper level for listening the Dharma. View the teacher as the Buddha. Yeah, we have to teacher who's teaching the Dharma. But who knows that the criticizer is the Buddha? Sometimes Buddha criticizes you better because most people don't want to do the dirty job. Sometimes the person who's harshest to you may be the Buddha that you don't want to see. You see? So view the teacher as the Buddha. Imagine light rays emerging from him, from his mouth, and seed syllables touching all the assembly as 8 classes of gods, demons, 4 retinues, and so forth, purify your negative karma. So when you're listening to someone's saying, you should think these are teaching, these are purifying my negativities, and make it Dharma. They say in Vajrayana, here all sound is a Dharma. They don't say, hey, when somebody prays you, you should feel as a mantra. When somebody criticizes you, get rid of them. It doesn't say that. It says all sound should be heard as a mantra, no matter who says it. All sound, made by humans as well as made by nature. Yeah? So when you're listening, some people say, oh, so noisy, I don't want to go there. But you listen to the noise, can be Dharma. If you know how to, if you can know how to tune yourself with the good understanding of Dharma activities. Deep listener, they call it. Sometimes we hear the teachings in criticism more than in praise. In praise and flattery words, you get puffed up for a while, but it's got really hollow meaning. But when you really listen to the need of someone's anguish and sorrow and stress, you can hear you needing to practice compassion. So listening can be, deep listening can enable you to purify your own neurosis and karma and bad habits. So that's why listening, of course, listening to the Dharma is, of course, we would like to visualize all the words coming is Dharma and mantra, purifying your karma and so on. But what if you're hearing something quite unpalatable? Is that not something, is it someone that you should run away from the back door? When you know that, there you should listen even more with deep understanding. Then your understanding of Dharma is really put into listening. Why don't Buddhas got long earlobes? You know? Yeah, he had to listen to such deep listening to the sorrow and anguish and stress of sentient beings. Without saying, God, get away, I don't want to listen to you. But he listened to them with great empathy and sympathy and compassion. Then he practiced true compassion and understanding. So listening to Dharma doesn't mean, because in the Vajrayana it says, hear all sounds of the Dharma. In the Lojong teaching it says, all criticism as advice. It doesn't say that hear the Dharma as advice, criticism as a rubbish. He says, turn all criticism into advice. Usually we're not apt to do that. But now we are empowered. From here onwards, we will listen deeply with a different kind of ear. You know, maybe you don't have long earlobe, but you will have a deep listening capacity. Someone in so near and dear among your life, somebody's really speaking harshly against someone you respect, love. Sometimes we are upset because we attach to him or her. We're not really listening to his anguish. So, so, so listening, you're talking about how to turn listening into Dharma. Not just listening, Dharma is Dharma practice. But most of the time we don't have the luxury to listen to Dharma. But how can you turn all non-Dharma sounding things into Dharma? That's a real practice. Yeah. All the yogis have to almost abandon their status and and engage ordinarily amidst common folk, and then and conspicuously and anonymously practice. That's a real listening. Real listening. It's not just listening to Dharma. Of course, listening to Dharma is very good because they rely on the scriptures and the sutras and shastras and memorize them, quote them. They look so beautiful to listen to. Almost we don't want to listen to anything but that. But the real purpose of listening Dharma is not that. The real purpose is to listen to all sorrows, all melancholic stories, all the convoluted misunderstandings. We must develop the understanding and not react and overreact to them and make it worse, but to rectify the issues with your deep listening. Deep listening. Sada Prarudita, ever crying bodhisattva. Ever crying bodhisattvas, he cannot judge anybody but cry for their sorrow. However bad sounding they are, he cried ceaselessly because he understood their sorrow, which most didn't want to even listen to. In the West, we have a profession called psychologists, counselors. They're trying very hard to be one, but most of them are profoundly stressed because they don't have wisdom. They may have some kind of professional training, but they get really, really stressed. They make huge money, but they get really stressed. But you have to have lots of understanding to listen to the sadness and conflicts, misunderstanding, opinions, convoluted may they be, but you need to listen with understanding, not with judgment, or not with righteousness. That's realistic. What do you think? Fifth is Dharma activity of reading scriptures. Yeah, formally reading, sitting together like sanghas, always chanting. Those are formal because they cannot say anything different but what is they're all meant to be chanting together, formally reading or individual reading scriptures volume by volume. So these are what we're talking about. So you should also take some time. Just say 1 hour a week. Just read some scriptures. Don't try to understand. Just read them. Read them out loud. Very good merit. Called verbal merit making, it's called. They do 100,000 green tara, praise to 21 taras, and 100,000 this, that, million this, million that, reading. Yeah, why? Most of yogis are transformed because they recited so much in the caves. Milarepa got transformed in the cave by reciting the Guru Yoga mantra because his lips were transformed by the blessings of the recitation, reading. You don't read any other all things just yet. Just read scriptures. Just read reliable, authentic, blessed text. Yeah. Yeah, and when you're reading the Dharma teachings, it's the words of the Buddha showering on you, washing your sins, your karma, dirt in your life are washed. Just listen to it, read it. It will slowly wash many of your sad stories you've been telling. Don't believe them anymore. Listen to the teachings, and so on. Sixth is practicing. The practicing is actually doing. doing the Dharma, doing the patience, not doing the ill will, not doing the sadness, not doing poor me, is practicing. Practicing consists of physical, verbal, and mental. Physically, it looks like you are really look like you're circumambulating. Where did he go? He's circumambulating. He went to the Kora. Did he really do Kora? Yeah, he looks like going around. But is his mind practicing Kora, or is just daydreaming? You know. So if you do a good Kora, it can be a practicing. Otherwise, they did 10 Kora very fast as just a physical exercise, just to lose some weight. Is that your purpose? Miserable. Why you put in the miserable weight in the first place? Don't practice putting on weight, then you don't have to practice dropping the weight. But true practice is physically, maybe Kora, maybe circum, maybe sitting meditation, but mentally and verbally, you know. So practicing the sixth perfection, such as if you sit there, do that with patience. If you do that with generosity, you should really feel, I'm so glad that I gave that 1 hour to sit and meditate. That's generosity, perfect generosity. You do that with good discipline, it's a discipline. Do that with patience, even your back hurts, or you feel thirsty or a little tired, forbear the hardship, that's a patience. Do that with joy, and that's a virya paramita. Do that with good concentration, attention, retention, that's samadhi. Do that with wisdom, understanding nature of reality ultimately, and that is prajna paramita. So they all becomes, that's why we say that by giving and the like, you know, by giving and the like. What's the and the like? That's other five perfection. And then seventh is teaching and explaining. You know, whatever you know, you should explain to your brother. Maybe you can explain only to your best friend, because then you think you can explain, you know. Don't try to explain to big crowds. Try to explain to one or two friends of yours first. Don't think that what you know is for you only. That's the reason. You should show a little bit how much it changed your life, how much it changed your opinion, how much Dharma helped you to drop hate and take up loving kindness, how much Dharma helped you to rejoice gratitude rather than discontentment and sadness. You should tell your story, how much it changed you. They would see, wow, I can see you change. What did you do? You should tell your story, journey of the Dharma, how much it changed your life, how much it changed your thoughts, views, opinions, perceptions, storylines, narratives. You no longer tell the story in the same way, because that was then you were so deluded. You told the story, gosh, I used to tell like that, poor me, how did he did this, she did this. No, you never tell them. It's so, gosh, you know, I wish I was deaf. I wish I was mute. Now at least your words are worthy of listening to, because you no longer say poor me mentality. So this is practicing change. Like a blind have recovered his sight. That's a real Dharma, you know. Shariputra first met the Dharma when he heard Aswajit. And when he told Moggallanaputra, his friend, he says, Moggallanaputra can tell his friend has found Amrita, nectar. He can say, you got it, haven't you? and Shariputra says, yes, you know, that's almost like nectar. Dharma is so taste, so delicious, so sweet, so true, so inexpressibly precious. When can you be? You know, practicing doesn't mean you have to be beating drums, making a lot of noise, doors shut, you're alone in the cave. Of course, they could be practice too, but you could be practicing every moment. You should be rejoicing everybody's incredible devotion. Those people, you know, if you ever come in the morning, early morning Kora, you'll see incredible, you know, people who are you would in the West these days they will be in a cared, some facilities, care facilities. They will looked after by people, wheelchair. They will never be allowed to go anywhere because they just walk like this. They just walk like this. But those people who walk like this, wobbling almost every step, looks like going to fall off. They're doing kora like this, You just watch. You can rejoice. You can practice yourself, but you watch other people practice, you can rejoice. How much people moved by Dharma, They may not know many mantra, but they repeat the same mantra again and again, walking with that kind of very, very disabled body, but they don't think their body is disabled. They totally utilize the physical effort and walk around the stupa, you know. We in the West, we think the fitness test or something, Oh, you're not allowed to go there, you can't go there, you shouldn't do. Oh, this thou shalt not, Look at those people who will be regarded as disabled, but incredibly ably circumambulating many rounds early in the morning while they were wobbling most of the walk. The main walk is wobbling, you hardly can walk beside them because you don't know whether they're going walking front or on the side because there's a bit of an earthquake going on around them. But yet, I was having tears in my eyes in the morning when I see the people walking like that, So, you never know when your practice begins, when your practice doing. Sometimes you rejoice there, then a real practice happens. So practicing, yeah, and seeing all things as dreams and illusion. Whatever happened, terrible thing happened. Don't mourn and groan about it. See this as a dream and illusion. Even something fantastic happened. Don't get attached to this or that or him or her. See, because you soon will wake up. It's not going to happen anymore. You thought there was something happening magic, but it's not there anymore. So don't be shocked and surprised to know things are illusion, because they are. When you practice, you see. The seventh is, the next one is, seventh is teaching, teaching. Dharma teaching, I was talking about that, so always talk about the Buddha and the Dharma, you're safe, Don't talk about people, talk about Dharma, how it changes people, no matter how difficult the people are. People are, people are suffering when the Dharma is not met. When the Dharma is met, even people can change. Big sad story become great upliftment for you when you practice Dharma. Turn to Dharma, not to drama. Yeah, when you're really practicing Dharma, when you really practice the Dharma, teachings are happening all the time. The wheel of Dharma is turning all the time, 24 hours, 5,000 years, Dharma is turning all the time. So we have to switch our mind to do that. When you're listening to the teaching, of course, whether you are explaining or someone is explaining to you, you should hear that for the benefit of not you and today and this body, but for others in the future and mind stream. That's what the people like Atisha. Atisha was told by Tara, he was told by Tara, if you go to Tibet, you will live 10 years shorter. Most people would cancel going to Tibet, Oh, I didn't want to go. I got ill. I didn't want to do the retreat, they call it. Atisha was told that he will live 10 years shorter if he goes to Tibet. But he did it anyway. Why? For the benefit of other people. This story wouldn't exist. This 10 Dharma activity story wouldn't have come to exist, let alone whole Tibetan Buddhism, to the might and how revered it is today, wouldn't be there had he not sacrificed his mortal body, his name, his body, his life. He didn't care about him, his body, the time that his body is hired for. 10 years too less for the rent he paid for already. He paid rent for until 63, but he died in 1053. But he didn't mind dying 10 years younger. Why? Because he didn't attach to the body. He didn't attach to Atisha in his life, but for the longevity and of Dharma. So we should think like that. Then you have really heard the teachings. 8 is reciting the sutras. 9th is contemplating on the meaning. I don't want to hold you very long. And the 10th is meditating. Of course, you do meditate, whether you are meditating on deity yoga or shamatha or vipassana or whatever form of meditation you do. All of these 10 above Dharma activities subsumed to the 3: listening, contemplating, and meditating. When you do the listening, you have heard the teaching, Bahu Sutra. Bahu Sutra means well-heard person. Mangtu Thöpa in Tibetan we call. One who has heard sutras and gayas, Ved, Udanas, Upadanas, Avadanas, all the 12 branches of the 12 scriptures. When you've heard, the person completely changed. Yeah. So, Dharma activities, your life will be changed. You can meditate on the relative subjects as well as impermanence, bodhicitta, or ultimate bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta, merit of pure generosity, demerit of impure generosity. A lot of people are suffering because they receive impure generosity. Someone gave to you something with the intention to possess you, control you, to desire you. And that kind of gift is poisonous gift. And people are still suffering after many years. So most of the people are practicing impure generosity. Not just material itself is impure, intention itself is impure. Not only the intention, but the object itself. Objects, it's you attach to the object. You're giving to him or her because you attach to him, not because you need to give to him. He doesn't need that at all, but someone needs more than that, but you don't want to give it to them. Such kind of impure generosity. Meditate on such demerits of impure generosity. How many people are not talking because they practice too much impure generosity to each other. They made investment of suffering. They did no good to each other. They only caused more suffering to each other. Now the very investment become cause of conflict and discord. So meditate on the impure generosity. Meditate on the merit of pure generosity that is absent of these 7 infractions and pitfalls, as the teaching talks about. And then meditate on emptiness, of course. Ultimately, meditation on emptiness. And then always meditate on compassion to those who lack realization of emptiness. Not because they're suffering of hunger or thirst or this or that, but because they don't understand the ultimate teachings. So your emptiness doesn't become a nihilistic thing, but become more engaging to sentient beings who lacks the wisdom discerning emptiness. So your compassion becomes with the quintessence of emptiness, which you meditate on emptiness, whether it's middle way or teaching on the 2 types of selflessness of person or selflessness of phenomena, and various teachings that are elaborated in Madhyamika doctrine, as well as explained in how to skillfully use those meditation and deification of deity yoga, mantra recitations. We cannot meditate on emptiness unless your merit is sufficiently cultivated. So doing deity yoga is a very skillful dispensation how to develop compassion, form deity, the emptiness manifests as a deity, form of that emptiness in the vision of form of deity. But the deity is not a monolithic entity out there, but rather the wisdom discerning emptiness and having compassion to those who lack this, as a visual reminder of every mood, color, shape, form, all as a manifestation of the 84,000 discourse of Dharma can be depicted visually in an artistic depiction of mandala, the deity, the color, the mood, gestures, the symbols. And then your deity yoga sadhana meditation you do becomes a very good thing to listen, to read, to study. There are multi-layered meanings of the sadhana. When you do the sadhana, you're reading the sadhana, you're reading the scriptures, you're studying, you're listening, you're reading, you are meditating, you're practicing. The sadhana is the practice of Dharma. Because when you practice the sadhana, if you already are, you're reading scriptures as well, you're reading mantra, you're always memorizing them, because reading also memorize, you're copying them. Copying is called memorizing, Memorizing is copying, isn't it? You don't need the book. you copy it in your memory and you can just chant, yeah? It blesses you, It really definitely blesses you. Quite a lot of people did many years retreat. After that, they change. They have some things change them. They go city of recitation. City of recitation. So, I need not to go in detail anymore. Our Dharma sister Dawa translated this already into English, this text. So I'm sure this is available in different languages. But most importantly, the purpose of tonight's this empowerment is so that it empowers you to formally engage in those 10 Dharma activities more formally and try not to make them too casual, Don't read books, Dharma books as a casual, sitting on a bean bag with your feet up in the air. No, you should formally sit in front of the Buddha and the reading and still visualizing Dharma blessings coming to you. Every syllable, every mantra, every word is washing you, cleansing you. If you are able to follow the instructions contained in these texts, there's a lot of empowerment happen to you each day by yourself. Every day you are disciplined to read in formal scriptures, class, meet together with friends, lots of people have study groups, in different language groups or different levels. You do that. You see everyone who's sharing, maybe 3-4 people sharing, 6-7 people. Just even whatever you wouldn't believe how much you learn from listening to somebody. When you really do the listening, not just to the teachers, you can listen, because the discussions are very important, You get discussing Dharma, listening to somebody, you get to hear their perspective, their side of the story, and how they see the Dharma, how much they value, that you didn't know how to value that much, because their story is quite a different one, And so that's why this empowers you. Nurbu Temba Chiwang. Chiwang means universal empowerment. It empowers you not just to live long. Some people take empowerment to live long or have wealth. Gosh, people do economy, they're wealthy. They go to study economy and they become wealthy. They do business very wealthy, but they're miserable. So why you receive empowerment for wealth? Why you receive it for long life? When you live longer you live, more miserable you are in old age homes. But if you live very, very intelligibly with these 10 facets of the Dharma, even in your last breath, you wouldn't regret living that long. So thank you, everybody, for giving your time. You have given so much of the 10 towards Dharma activities by generously giving your time, and everybody who assists technically here, as well as through the translator team. Thank you very much for, sorry, my fast speaking habit. No, whatever you could translate, I'm sure you would have helped all your listeners and viewers. And so with this, we have good reason to rejoice tonight's activities and dedicate the merits. Thank you very much. So I'll do the dedication merits. By this merit, may we overcome the defilements and homeless. May I liberate all be from the ocean of burdens and the air and the Mahayana teaching. Whatever merit I have, may hope be cast and lowers to hold the Mahayana teaching. Courage, manjushun yote, asama, tabadra jilaiwa, follow it, all the example. Ashade, Jega, Ode, Mere, Excellent Body, Chida, Teba, Veda, no Yedanzo, Ve, has been Bometing, Freely, the generation. Meda pressure view am gen tebe vete no yedazo vet has been bo meeting freely with the generation. Thank you, everyone.